Did you know the main way that people immigrate to the United States is through family? We have an immigration system that supports bringing and keeping families together in theory. The way that this happens is that only green card holders and US citizens can bring their relatives here to the United States. Permanent residents or green card holders can only petition their spouses and their unmarried children. However, US citizens can petition those same relatives and also their parents, their married children, and their brothers and sisters. The process can be super long. In some cases, the wait time is 20 years or longer. But generally, what we start with is the permanent resident or US citizen files an application or a petition to bring their relative to the United States. Did you know that if someone files the wrong application or they make a minor mistake in their application, they could be separated from their spouse or their children for years? An example of this is if a US citizen is filing for their spouse and they don't file a separate application for the stepchildren, and they don't find out until 2 years later. Another example of this is when you fill out the form to petition for a relative, you have to tell the government what to do once they approve the form, whether they keep it in their big lockbox or whether they send it to the Department of State. And if you tell them to send it to the lockbox and it's an accident, when you're ready, you have to tell them to get the application from the lockbox and send it to the Department of State. And guess what? That takes another 18 to 24 months. And it's time lost, all because you marked the wrong box in the form. And these are the little mistakes that can impact people's lives and the future of their lives and the trajectory of their children and their ability to be together. And this stuff is really critical to get it right from the inception of a case so that you don't end up with family separations. And ultimately, that's why I care so much about the work that I do being an immigration lawyer. It's so that people can choose who they want to live with and who their family members are, and do they want to be together on the holidays, and do they want to live near each other and not have some stupid system that doesn't make sense and has arcane rules keep them separated. For undocumented immigrants who don't have any paperwork to live in the United States, but they're here, and they have relatives or a spouse who's a US citizen, there's generally two ways for them to get legal status in this country. One is in the country without leaving. It's called adjustment of status. The other is the consular process, which requires an appointment at the consulate in their country at the end. In my opinion, the adjustment of status is always preferable because you get to stay here. We don't have a stressful departure at the end without an answer to the application or the paperwork. And it's really important to get this right from the start of a case, because if you get it wrong, it could result in the separation of a family for potentially years. I remember a couple that I represented years ago. She was a US citizen, the wife. The husband came in on a visa. They were here, they got married while they were in the country. And then they went to the immigration office where they take fingerprints to ask them what they should do to help him get his green card. And the officer at the fingerprint office, who was not a lawyer, told them that he had to leave the country. So he dutifully left following the advice he got. And in fact, he wasn't able to get back for years after that. We had to file for a pardon for him, and it was very long and complicated, and they were separated all the time. His wife had medical issues, and they had to go through that alone, all because they didn't check with the right person at the beginning of the process. So it's really important for people when they're starting to think about an immigration case to consult with a lawyer who knows and does immigration. Yeah, there's forms and we fill out paperwork and we do all of that. But the most critical thing that we do as immigration lawyers is help set the strategy at the start of the case to keep this family together, to keep the future that they want, and to make sure that they don't have any horrible pitfalls that impact them in major ways through the life of their case.